God's chosen ones. Have you ever wondered why you sense things before they happen? Why can you feel the weight of a room without a single word being spoken? What if I told you there's a rare spiritual gift so powerful, so dangerous to darkness, that only 1% of humanity has been entrusted with it? This isn't just intuition. This isn't just empathy. This is the ability to pierce the veil, to see the threads God has woven before they manifest in the physical world. If you've ever felt the pull of something ancient in your spirit, the whisper of heaven in your quiet moments, then you may already be carrying this divine mantle. And once you understand it, your entire life will shift. Doors will open. Enemies will reveal themselves. And your steps will align with heaven's map. Before we dive in, comment 777 if your spirit is already stirring while you hear this. And to everyone who's been supporting the channel, especially those of you who have blessed us through super thanks, I want you to know, from the bottom of my heart, I am deeply grateful for you. You are the reason messages like this keep reaching the chosen. Now, take a deep breath, because what you're about to hear may confirm what your soul has always known, yet never dared to say out loud. God's chosen ones, the spiritual gift, only 1% of people possess. Get ready, because what you are about to understand could change how you see both yourself and the entire spiritual battlefield. There exists a rare, almost incomprehensible gift carried by only 1% of humanity that bends the boundaries of what most people think is possible. This isn't just intuition sharpened to a fine point, nor is it merely heightened empathy. This is a God-given ability to step beyond the visible into the realms unseen, where the whispers of eternity move like rivers beneath the surface of reality. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5-7. Those who have it often describe moments when reality feels like a thin veil, ready to tear and reveal a higher truth. It's like holding a master key to a mansion with countless rooms, each door opening to deeper mysteries. And the question is, are you prepared for what might be revealed when the lock finally clicks open? Those who bear this gift are not simply sensitive to the emotions in a room. They can read the room in the language of heaven. They tap into the invisible latticework that holds creation together, discerning the rhythms of divine order where others see only chaos. Imagine being able to detect the faint tremor in someone's spirit before their words even form, or feeling the shift in the atmosphere before any physical event occurs. Could this be why some moments feel strangely preordained, as if heaven itself has already scripted the outcome? They move through life as if walking on an invisible bridge that others cannot see. Yet every step they take lands on solid ground. Their awareness works like an antenna, picking up divine frequencies in places where most hear only static. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, Jeremiah 1-5. And perhaps that is why this connection feels both ancient and inevitable. The scope of this gift is staggering. It does not stop at the present. It extends backward into the echoes of history and forward into the corridors of destiny. People with this calling perceive patterns that others dismiss as coincidence, divine fingerprints left in the fabric of time. This awareness becomes both a blessing and a burden, because to see too much is to carry the weight of responsibility. At times, it feels like standing on a mountain peak and seeing storms forming miles away, storms others are blissfully unaware of. They are not fortune tellers, but rather guardians of divine alignment, positioned to warn, guide, and prepare. And when they speak, it is not mere opinion, it is the resonance of truth striking the soul like a bell. History shows us that such a vision can change the world. Take, for instance, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, a man who stood against the crushing machinery of apartheid. He once said, "Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness." His ability to perceive the unseen possibility of peace in the midst of oppression was a reflection of this rare spiritual lens. He didn't just react to events, he anticipated them, shaping his actions in harmony with the justice he knew God had ordained. This same gift can manifest in many forms, in leaders who rally nations, in artists who awaken hearts, or in quiet souls whose prayers shift the trajectory of history. And yet, how many others, with similar potential, have ignored their calling and faded into obscurity, their light buried under fear and distraction? For every chosen soul who rises, there is a counterforce that seeks to corrupt such vision. Consider the tale of Jeffrey Skilling, the former CEO of Enron. Once hailed as one of the most brilliant minds in corporate America, he possessed a rare ability to influence markets and inspire investors. But instead of channeling that gift toward integrity, he bent it toward deception, manipulation, and greed. At the height of his power, he appeared untouchable, but when the truth surfaced, Enron collapsed overnight. Thousands lost their jobs, pensions evaporated, and Skilling himself faced years in prison. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Mark 8:36. Gifts misused are like rivers poisoned at their source. They still flow, but they bring death instead of life. And when heaven calls for an accounting, no amount of wealth can purchase back integrity once it has been sold. This gift, when pure, acts like a spiritual compass. It can guide you through storms that would sink others, reveal opportunities hidden in plain sight, and connect you to divine instructions in moments when logic fails. Yet the question remains, if you had such a sight, would you have the courage to follow it? Even when the path leads into fire, would you trust God's blueprint when every voice around you calls you a fool? The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land. Isaiah 58:11. Those who embrace this path discover that obedience opens doors that talent and ambition alone could never unlock. They learn that the very fire meant to consume them becomes the furnace that forges their unshakable strength. There is a war over this gift because it carries authority in the unseen realm, and authority in the spirit always translates to impact in the natural world. That is why attacks against those who carry it are often relentless, because the enemy knows that once you fully activate it, the game changes. As Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world. This is not paranoia, it is spiritual physics. Where light intensifies, darkness concentrates its opposition. It is the same reason generals aim their firepower at the strongest points of resistance. And so, chosen one, do not downplay what God has placed within you. Do not bury it under fear, comfort, or distraction. Rise, stand, speak when heaven moves you to speak, and be silent when heaven tells you to be still. This is not the season to doubt yourself. This is the season to step into the authority you were born with. If these words burn in your spirit, it's because they are yours to carry. Now is the time. Now is the moment. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. Hell does not attack the weak, it attacks those on the verge of reigning. Your crown is not in the distance, it's already been forged. All that remains is for you to wear it, granting glimpses into the past and future. This gift acts like a lighthouse on the stormiest sea, sending beams of warning and direction into the darkness, guiding those adrift towards safe harbors. For those who possess it, the ability is not merely passive, it is a living, breathing current of divine force. It can alter the course of destinies, shift the outcome of battles, and awaken hearts long asleep. They become channels of holy energy, pulling threads from the tapestry of heaven and weaving them into the torn fabric of human lives. Their wisdom flows like an underground spring, nourishing parched souls that didn't even know they were thirsty. And often, just being near them is like standing in the first light of dawn after a night without stars. Something inside you stirs, and you realize the world has not been abandoned. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. There is a quiet authority in their presence, the kind that does not need to raise its voice to command attention. Sometimes, even their silence feels like a prophecy unfolding, and in those moments, you begin to understand that what they carry is not just knowledge, it's a living covenant between heaven and earth. Their presence alone can act as a catalyst for profound shifts in consciousness, just as a single seed can push through hardened soil to bring a burst of green into a barren field. The words or actions of such a person can awaken something dormant within others. People leave, their company changed, as if a new melody has been added to the soundtrack of their soul. This is the kind of transformation that reminds one of the closing scene in The Mission, 1986, where even in the face of destruction, the haunting notes of a hymn rise above the violence, a reminder that the spirit is stronger than the sword. Could it be that this same resilience is what heaven plants in the heart of every chosen one, waiting for the right moment to bloom? When they speak, it is as if the soil of the heart cracks open to let new life emerge. Even the most resistant spirits can find themselves softening, like ice breaking under the warmth of the sun, and those who once walked in shadows often find themselves stepping into the light without even realizing when the change began. Yet the weight of this calling is immense. Those who carry it often feel a responsibility so heavy it presses into their bones. They know that their actions, words, and even thoughts ripple outward, like concentric circles on a still lake touching shores they may never see. But how do you carry such a gift without letting it crush you? With such power comes the constant awareness that a single misstep could wound where they intended to heal, and so they live in a tension few understand, the yearning to lift others higher, and the caution to never let their gift become a weapon in the wrong moment. This is why some retreat into solitude, not from pride, but from reverence for the weight they carry. The calling is both a crown and a cross, both an honor and a fire to be endured. Like a blacksmith who must endure the heat to shape the blade, they too must stay in the furnace until the work is finished. And the truth is, many will never see the full cost of their obedience. Isolation becomes a familiar companion, like the lone cedar that stands on a wind-beaten cliff. Their view is breathtaking, but the winds are unrelenting. They often find themselves misunderstood, their visions dismissed as fantasy by those who cannot yet see beyond the veil. And yet, even here, the beauty of their gift persists. The cedar survives because its roots run deep into living water, just as these souls draw strength from the wellspring of God's presence. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in Him. Jeremiah 17:7. In this sacred loneliness, they learn the language of stillness and the rhythm of God's heartbeat. They discover that the absence of applause is not the absence of purpose. And in the quiet, they find that heaven speaks loudest. Despite these challenges, the transformative potential of this gift cannot be overstated. They carry the ability to bring light into the darkest corners, to speak truth that cuts chains and mends wounds, to breathe life into dreams thought dead. In this way, they resemble the rain that falls unseen over a desert, softening the earth until the hidden seeds awaken and the barren place bursts into bloom. And just as the tide can reshape the shoreline over time, their influence quietly remakes the landscape of hearts and communities. The question remains, will they choose to wield this gift boldly, or bury it beneath the sands of fear? You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Every generation waits for its torchbearers. And perhaps this is your hour. Because if you hold the flame but never lift it, the darkness will grow bolder. And the truth is, your light was never meant to be hidden in the first place. They carry the power to heal wounds that once seemed irreparable, to stir life in places that had surrendered to silence, and to awaken the latent potential within every soul they touch. They are the way showers and light bearers, living reminders of our God-breathed design and the limitless possibilities inscribed into the blueprint of our being. Their presence functions like an architect's keystone. Remove it, and the vault collapses. Keep it, and the entire arch bears impossible weight with grace. In moments of deep ministry, their words don't merely inform, they resonate, producing harmonic coherence that lowers the soul's signal-to-noise ratio until the voice of truth becomes unmistakable. And when the fractures of a life begin to knit back together, it is no accident. He heals the broken-hearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. What happens when a life finally snaps into phase alignment with heaven's frequency? In the sections ahead, we will trace the specific signs and manifestations of this rare endowment, following how it shapes the one who carries it, and through them, the world around them. Like a grandmaster thinking 10 moves ahead, they live with a horizon-wide awareness that reaches beyond the present frame. Their inner posture resembles the pre-game hush elite athletes describe the charged stillness before the whistle, where noise fades and strategy crystallizes. In that hush, assignments become clear and timing becomes surgical, because to each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. 1 Corinthians 12:7. In that pre-game hush, when everything in you quotes for a breath, whose voice is it you hear? As we embark on this discovery, walk in with an open mind and an open heart. The insight may redraw how you see yourself in the vast cathedral of the universe. Imagine stepping beneath a ribbed vault, where every arch converges toward a single oculus of light. Your story is one of those ribs, meticulously placed by the master builder. Suddenly the load paths, thrust lines, and counterforces make sense. What looked random resolves into intention. You realize that even the scaffolding seasons had purpose, and the chisel marks on the stone were preparation, not punishment. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Psalm 139:16. If the master builder drew your lines before your first breath, will you now step fully into the structure he designed? Sensing the true essence of others is one of the clearest signatures of the 1% gift. This is more than perceptiveness. It is soul-level discernment that reads the load, bearing truths beneath a person's facade. Psychologically, it feels like high-fidelity theory of mind with a sanctified edge. Physiologically, people often describe a surge in the mirror neuron system, an embodied knowing that bypasses the usual defenses. Their discernment operates like spiritual spectroscopy, splitting the white light of a life into its hidden spectrum to reveal both purity and pollutants. And because their calibration honors heaven's measurement, they do not stop at appearances. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16-7, a fresh, real-life example. C.S. Lewis, the renowned Oxford scholar and Christian writer, once said, "There are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal." This wasn't just a literary flourish. It was a lens into eternity. Lewis explained that every human being, no matter how ordinary they appear, carries immortality within them. And every conversation you have is sacred ground. Many readers testified that a single sentence from him changed how they approached others. They began listening not to the mask, but to the eternal fingerprint in each person's story. This is exactly what those with the 1% gift practice daily. They look past the surface and awaken the sleeping divine within. When such people speak, conversations turn into sanctuaries. An ordinary room becomes an inner nave, and a simple sentence lands like a cornerstone. Guidance often comes as a directional whisper that cuts through confusion with surgical precision. Your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, "This is the way. Walk in it." Isaiah 30-21. In practice, this looks like micro-corrections, subtle vector, changes in choices and relationships that compound over time into destiny-level shifts. It is not guesswork, but coherent alignment, where discernment, timing, and obedience lock like gears. The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. Proverbs 20-5. If the path forward is whispered with this kind of clarity, what would keep you from taking the next faithful step today? This is your hour to stand. Step into alignment. Take your post beneath the vault you were born to uphold, and move with the calm authority of one who has heard from heaven. Hold formation in the stillness between battles. Then advance when the trumpet sounds. Lift your head, brace your heart, and walk, because the structure is sound. The resonance is true, and your commissioning is now. They move beyond surface-level appearances, past predictable behaviors, and even beyond the limiting beliefs people carry about themselves. It's as though their perception is a form of spiritual tomography, penetrating layers until they see the hidden architecture of a soul. They recognize untapped potential as if it were an unclaimed wing in a cathedral, waiting to be built into the whole design. They perceive hidden wounds like stress fractures in stone, knowing that without repair, the structure will one day fail. They discern unspoken desires, the way a master acoustician detects the faintest sympathetic vibration in a great hall, proof that something deep within is longing to resonate with the music of heaven. The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. Proverbs 20-5. If someone truly saw the masterpiece God sketched beneath your scars, would you still hide it? This insight equips them to approach others with profound compassion, a kind of emotional load-bearing grace. Their understanding doesn't rest on sentimentality. It's grounded in an awareness of the original blueprint, how God designed each soul before the distortions of pain or pride. They carry no judgment in their gaze, because mercy triumphs over judgment. James 2:13. Even when looking at someone the world calls lost, they see a structural foundation still capable of supporting beauty and purpose. Isn't it strange how one who sees your worth before you can awaken a courage you didn't know you had? This ability to sense the true essence of others extends beyond individuals. It reaches into groups, communities, even entières nations. They are like seasoned strategists who can stand on the edge of a battlefield during the pre-battle silence and read the morale of an entire army. By the way, the shields are held. They sense the collective frequency of a crowd, discerning the subtle oscillations of hope, fear, unity, or division that bind people together. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Matthew 5-9. They know when the tectonic plates of history are shifting underfoot, and when the moment to speak will tip the balance between collapse and renewal. What happens when one voice, timed to the exact moment of readiness, can turn an entire tide? A fresh, real-life example of this can be found in Brian Stevenson, a civil rights attorney and founder of the Equal Justice Initiative, known for overturning wrongful convictions and fighting systemic injustice. Stevenson has the remarkable ability to walk into rooms filled with hostility and leave them softened. He once said, "Each of us is more than the worst thing we've ever done." In that single sentence, he bypasses public opinion, pierces through shame, and touches the divine spark in those who have been written off. His work shows that when you address the heart, systems change, and when you restore dignity, entire communities begin to heal. In interpersonal relationships, this gift is a powerful tool for building deep, authentic connections. They see beyond the superficial and acknowledge the divine essence within each person, creating a space where trust naturally takes root. It is like standing in the crossing of a cathedral, where the acoustics are so perfect that a whisper carries to every corner. When such people enter a conversation, the room itself seems to listen. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16-7. If someone could see you exactly as God does, how would it change the way you walk into the world? Declaration to rise. This is not the time to shrink back into the shadows of false identity. Stand in the space you were born to occupy. Let the frequency of heaven reverberate through your life until walls fall and chains break. You are not here to be unseen architecture. You are here to be the visible glory of the master builder's work. They create an atmosphere of trust, vulnerability, and mutual understanding, a space where masks fall away and the soul can finally exhale. In such moments, people feel safe enough to peel back the layers of conditioning, fear, and self-doubt that have long hidden their truest selves. What emerges is not a fabrication, but the God-designed beauty and strength that has always been there, waiting to be seen. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. 1 Thessalonians 5:11. If someone believed in you before you believed in yourself, how far could you go? Yet this gift comes with its own challenges. Sensing the depth of another person's emotions is like diving into deep waters. You can lose yourself if you're not careful. The flood of feelings, stories, and wounds can become overwhelming and without boundaries. The one with this gift risks emotional exhaustion. They must learn the sacred discipline of saying no, not from apathy, but from stewardship of their own soul. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. Sometimes, the most loving thing they can do is to pause and breathe before pouring out again. But what happens when the healer forgets to heal themselves? Many wrestle with an almost unbearable sense of responsibility, feeling compelled to help and heal everyone they encounter, even at the cost of their own well-being. History offers us a luminous example in Mother Teresa, the Albanian Indian nun who spent her life serving the poorest of the poor in Kolkata. She once said, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love." Her life was proof that one does not need to carry the weight of the whole world to make an eternal impact. Faithfulness in the smallest act can change a soul's destiny. But even Mother Teresa faced seasons of spiritual dryness, reminding us that even the strongest light-bearers need replenishment. On the other side of the spectrum, we find a cautionary tale in Bernie Madoff, the financier whose charisma and influence drew people into what would become the largest Ponzi scheme in history. Instead of using his persuasive gift to build, he used it to deceive, destroying thousands of lives and erasing billions in wealth. In the end, he died in prison, his name synonymous with betrayal. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Mark 8:36. Gifts, misused for selfish gain, always collapse under their own weight. What legacy would remain if your influence were stripped of love? Despite the challenges, the ability to sense the true essence of others is a profound blessing. Those who carry it can be catalysts for deep transformation, guiding people back to their authentic selves and awakening them to their full God-given potential. They honor the divine spark in every soul, inspiring others to see themselves and each other with the same holy reverence. As these ripples spread, they become waves of love, acceptance, and unity that can reshape entire communities. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, Matthew 5:14. And if the light within you was meant to shine this brightly, why would you ever dim it? Chosen one, your calling is not an accident. Protect it, feed it, and wield it with courage. Stand firm in love. Guard your heart in truth, and let your light burn without apology. The world needs what God placed inside you now more than ever. One builds upon the other, creating a living tapestry of abilities that enables these individuals to navigate the unseen realm with grace and precision. The ability to sense the true essence of others is just the opening chord of a much greater symphony, a foundation stone upon which deeper gifts are built. From here grows the profound insights and transformative power we will explore in the sections ahead. Like the root system of an ancient oak, hidden from sight, yet holding the entire tree against storms, this gift quietly anchors everything else. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, Proverbs 9:10. If the first thread in the tapestry is already this strong, what might the finished design look like? Profound inner knowing and wisdom emerges as the next layer, building on their ability to see into the soul. Those with the 1% spiritual gift possess an inner compass that points them toward truth, even when the path is shrouded in fog. This knowledge is not guesswork. It is like the migration of monarch butterflies, traveling thousands of miles to a place they've never been, guided by an unseen map embedded in their very being. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. Could it be that heaven has placed its own coordinates inside your spirit? Their wisdom is not merely intellectual, it's alive, moving through them the way a river carves valleys, shaping landscapes without rushing. They often recognize answers long before others know the questions to ask. This is the kind of discernment that feels like watching a storm roll in over the sea, knowing exactly where and when the first lightning will strike. And when they act, it is with the precision of a falcon diving from the clouds. No wasted motion, no hesitation. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives generously to all without reproach. James 1:5. What if the wisdom you seek is already knocking? waiting for you to open the door. Art and culture have tried to capture this depth of insight. In the 1961 French film Léon Morin, Priest, the main character, a parish priest in a war-torn town, quietly guides souls toward God, not with force, but with a clarity and patience that disarms even the most skeptical hearts. His counsel cuts through confusion the way sunlight pierces stained glass, illuminating hidden patterns in the colors. This is the same way the wisdom of the 1% gift works, transforming not through pressure, but through the undeniable pull of truth. The unfolding of your words gives light. It gives understanding to the simple. Psalm 119 to 130. If light can travel through stained glass and still reveal its source, can truth not pass through the barriers of a guarded heart? Those with this gift move through life like gardeners of destiny, tending both the visible growth and the unseen roots. They understand that pruning is not cruelty, but care, and that sometimes the best way to protect a bloom is to shelter it from a storm. This inner knowing allows them to time their words and actions like a seasoned conductor guiding an orchestra, never too soon, never too late. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. Proverbs 2 to 6. And perhaps this is the challenge for all of us, not just to receive wisdom, but to live in step with it, moment by moment. You are not meant to wander without direction. Heaven has placed a compass within you, a root system beneath you, and a light above you. Stand in the wisdom you've been given. Move with the patience of rivers, the accuracy of falcons, and the courage of oaks. For the one who planted this gift in you intends for it to grow until the world cannot ignore its fruit. This wisdom is not something obtained through external study or accumulated experience alone. It is more akin to a resonance phenomenon, an inner frequency vibrating in harmony with the universal source of all truth. It springs from a direct connection to the divine architect of eternity, whose blueprints stretch beyond time. Those who carry this gift stand as if in the clerestory of heaven's cathedral, bathed in a light that others can sense but not fully explain. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives generously to all without reproach. James 1 to 5. If the most valuable insight in your life could not be learned from books or mentors, would you be ready to receive it? This inner knowing manifests as a quiet yet unshakable confidence in one's path and purpose, even when the road is surrounded by fog, resistance, or the roar of opposition. It is the composure of a seasoned general in the calm before the battle, reading the terrain with precision while others panic. It is the poise of a master builder surveying a foundation, knowing the structure will stand because the cornerstone is true. The Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. Proverbs 2 to 6. How different would your life be if you trusted the stability of the foundation God laid beneath you? They are able to tap into a wellspring of ancient wisdom, drawing insight from depths that seem older than their own lifetime. This is why their counsel often carries an ageless weight, the way a well-designed cantilever holds impossible loads without visible support. They access truths that defy conventional logic, cutting through tangled problems with solutions that feel both surprising and inevitable. Call to me, and I will answer you, and will tell you great and hidden things that you have not known. Jeremiah 33 to 3. What if the answer you've been searching for is already planted in you, waiting for the right silence to surface? In practical terms, this inner knowing becomes a navigational instrument, a spiritual gyroscope that keeps them steady when others lose balance. It allows them to move through complex situations with uncanny ease, spotting hidden doors where others see only brick walls. Their focus is like the signal lock in advanced communication systems, filtering out static so that only the true transmission comes through. This is why they are often able to make choices that not only serve their highest good, but ripple outward for the benefit of many. A vivid example of this is Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks, who grew up in public housing and built a company culture that valued connection as much as coffee. Schultz once said, "In life, you can't have everything for yourself. You must leave something behind for others." His ability to see opportunity where others saw scarcity turned a neighborhood coffee shop into a global community space. This profound wisdom is never meant to be hoarded or exploited for selfish gain. Like a vaulted ceiling designed to direct sound, so it fills the entire sanctuary. The purpose of this gift is to amplify truth and hope, so they reach every corner. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance. Proverbs 1-5. If your insight could shift the course of another person's life for the better, what would stop you from speaking it? You were not given this wisdom to hide it in silence. Stand in it. Build with it. Guard it as a sacred trust. Let it flow like light through the oculus of heaven's dome until the shadows retreat and the way forward becomes clear not just for you, but for all those entrusted to your influence. This wisdom is never meant to be locked away for personal comfort. It is meant to be poured out in service to others. Those who carry this ability often find themselves in roles as teachers, healers, and guides. Even when they never sought such positions, they become waymakers for the lost, stabilizers for the shaken, and encouragers for the weary. Their counsel has a way of cutting through confusion, offering insights that light up the road ahead like lanterns in the dark. The unfolding of your words gives light. It gives understanding to the simple. Psalm 119-130. If someone's single sentence could redirect the entire course of your life, would you stop to listen? They empower others to trust their own inner wisdom, to hear the still, small voice of God over the roar of fear or doubt. This is why their influence often extends far beyond the conversation itself, because the change they bring is not just in circumstances, but in the person's ability to walk with faith. A powerful example of this is Fred Rogers, the beloved creator and host of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Known for his gentle manner and deep empathy, Rogers once said, "There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are." His quiet words reached millions, helping children and adults alike feel seen, valued, and capable of love, transforming self-worth from a fragile hope into a lived reality. Yet this gift is not without its tests. The inner knowing these individuals carry often runs counter to the norms, systems, and unspoken rules of the world. They may stand in a room full of people and feel the sharp chill of skepticism or outright hostility from those not ready or unwilling to hear truth. A prophet is not without honor except in his own town, Mark 6-4. What would it cost you to speak the truth when silence would be safer? History also holds lessons from those who misused a similar influence for selfish ends. Consider Alan Stanford, once a celebrated financier who built a global image of generosity and charm, only to be exposed for orchestrating one of the largest Ponzi schemes in history. Instead of building trust into a foundation for good, he weaponized it for greed, causing thousands to lose their life savings. His empire crumbled. His name became synonymous with betrayal, and he will spend decades in prison. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. Proverbs 11-3. The same ability to inspire trust, when corrupted, can dismantle lives instead of building them. In these moments, whether facing resistance from the blind or witnessing the wreckage left by deception, the ability to sense the true essence of others becomes an invaluable companion to their inner wisdom. They can discern what drives a person's actions, seeing not only the visible behaviors, but the fears, wounds, and desires beneath them. This allows them to navigate conflict with both courage and compassion, using their wisdom not as a weapon to wound, but as a tool to heal. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Matthew 5-9. If wisdom can disarm hostility without compromising truth, is it not worth protecting at all costs? You who carry this gift, do not hide it, and do not dilute it to fit the comfort of those around you. The world needs truth-bearers who will stand even when standing costs something. Let your wisdom flow boldly, your compassion shine fiercely, and your integrity remain unshakable. For you were not given this gift to survive quietly. You were given it to transform the landscape around you. They stand as bridge builders, able to connect worlds that seem impossibly far apart, to create understanding where mistrust once lived. Each ability in the 1% spiritual gift is like a stone in a sacred arch, individually unique, yet essential to the integrity of the whole. Without even one, the structure loses its symmetry and strength. The profound inner knowing and wisdom they carry is not a static possession, like a stone sealed in glass, but a living, evolving current. It is like the deep roots of an old willow by the riverbank, growing ever deeper, finding hidden springs as seasons pass, bending without breaking in the storm. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits. James 3:17. If every new trial could deepen your roots instead of uprooting you, how much more unshakable could you become? This wisdom allows them to take what is meant for harm and turn it into a catalyst for growth. It transforms them into spiritual alchemists, people who can turn bitterness into sweetness, fear into courage, despair into hope. This is the gift of transmuting negative energies. It is not the passive endurance of hardship, nor the avoidance of toxic influences. It is an active, intentional act, like the way volcanic ash, once destructive, becomes fertile soil over time. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Genesis 50-20. What if the pain you endured was actually raw material for your calling? Those who carry this gift can sense the heavy, dense, or stagnant energies that accumulate in people, places, and situations. They feel it the way certain animals sense a coming storm, subtle changes in the air, pressure, an invisible shift in the atmosphere that warns of what's approaching. They pick up on the weight of unresolved emotions, the residue of past traumas, and the silent tension that lingers like humidity before thunder. And just as sunlight can break through a thick morning fog, they can infuse these spaces with clarity, warmth, and renewal. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. Art and storytelling have tried to capture this transformative power. In the 1995 Italian film, The Postman, Il Postino, a humble postman befriends a famous poet and learns to see beauty in the smallest things. His world, once dull and oppressive, becomes luminous, simply because someone helped him reinterpret what he was experiencing. This is what the 1% gift does. It rewrites the narrative of pain, teaching others to see possibility where they saw only limitation. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. If a single shift in perspective can change the story, why live trapped in the old chapter? This gift thrives on the understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. They know that what is healed in one person can ripple outward, touching families, communities, and even generations. They understand that the smallest act, like removing a stone from a stream, can redirect the flow for miles. Their calling is not to deny the existence of darkness, but to prove that darkness is never the final word. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Romans 12:21. And perhaps this is the challenge for all of us, not merely to survive the weight of negativity, but to transform it into something heaven can use. Chosen one. You are not called to avoid the shadows. You are called to bring light into them. Let your roots die deep, your spirit remain unbroken, and your hands work the soil of brokenness until beauty grows. This is not the season to shrink from the heaviness. It is the season to change its weight into glory. They are not crushed by the limiting beliefs or stagnant energies that keep individuals and communities stuck in cycles of pain. They transform them. Instead of being drained by negativity, they operate like energy transducers, converting dense emotional frequencies into higher vibrations of hope and renewal. Their own light and love act as a catalyst in a closed-loop resonance system, amplifying what is good until it overwhelms what is toxic. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. If your presence alone could change the emotional atmosphere of a room, how would you choose to walk into it? This process of transmutation is neither easy nor instantaneous. It is akin to the restoration of a centuries-old cathedral, one stone, one arch, one stained glass panel at a time. It demands an unhurried level of presence, a compassion that holds steady, and a trust in God's timing that does not flinch under pressure. They willingly enter the dark corridors of human hurt, not to battle it with noise, but to sit in the pre-game silence of the spirit where discernment sharpens, and the blueprint for healing reveals itself. Be still, and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Would you dare to wait in stillness long enough to hear the exact step heaven wants you to take? They understand that resistance is like striking a dissonant chord. It only amplifies tension. Instead, they lean into the darkness with an open heart, knowing that within every shadow lies the seed of redemption. Like a master architect reinforcing a hidden load-bearing wall, they strengthen the unseen before rebuilding the visible. In practical terms, this may be a conversation that shifts someone's entire perspective, dissolving years of resentment in a single moment of clarity. It might be the gentle touch of a hand that steadies another's trembling spirit, or a whispered prayer that moves like a standing wave through a person's body and soul, breaking apart energetic blockages. Pleasant words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Proverbs 16:24. Sometimes this gift manifests through creative expression, art, music, or words that vibrate at a frequency capable of resetting the emotional tone of an entire environment. A fresh, real-life example of this is Arvo Pärt, the Estonian composer whose sacred minimalist music has been called a prayer without words. Pärt once said, "The complex and many-faceted only confuses me, and I must search for unity." His compositions, marked by silence as much as sound, have brought peace to concert halls, cathedrals, and hearts worldwide. This mirrors how those with the 1% gift work. They strip away the unnecessary, leaving only what harmonizes with truth. Let everything you do be done in love. 1 Corinthians 16:14. Could it be that simplicity, not complexity, is the truest carrier of God's power? You are not called to avoid the shadows, but to walk into them, carrying light that cannot be quenched. Let your presence be a cathedral where broken souls find restoration. Your words be the beams that hold up the weary, and your love be the resonance that breaks every chain. This is your commission. Step into it. Their love and inspiration uplift everyone who crosses their path. On a larger scale, those with this gift can influence the atmosphere of entire rooms, buildings, or even cities. They are the ones who can walk into a tense, chaotic environment and, without a word, shift it into a place of calm and clarity. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Matthew 5-9. They are the living embodiment of that verse, bridge builders who can dissolve walls of division simply by standing in the truth of who they are. If the storm outside you was fierce, but someone's presence made you feel safe instantly, how unforgettable would that moment be? They are peacemakers and healers, navigating cultural rifts, personal disputes, and even generational wounds with a rare blend of strength and gentleness. A real-life example of this is Leymah Gbowee, the Liberian peace activist who led a non-violent women's movement that helped end her country's brutal civil war. She once said, "You can never leave footprints that last if you are always walking on tiptoe." Her courage to unite women across religious and ethnic divides in a time when fear and hatred ruled reflects the 1% gift's extraordinary power to transform pain into peace and build a future where reconciliation is not just a dream, but a lived reality. This ability to transmute negative energies is closely tied to the earlier signs we've explored, sensing the true essence of others and tapping into profound inner wisdom. They navigate the tangled web of emotions and tensions around them like a skilled sailor reading the currents, steering everyone towards safer waters. They understand that beneath every layer of negativity lies a core of love and light, waiting to be uncovered and expressed. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. If you knew that every act of kindness stripped away layers of bitterness in someone's soul, would you still hold back? Yet, this gift demands a high level of self-awareness and discipline. Without vigilance, they risk absorbing the very energies they seek to heal. They must guard their own spirit. As abuve al-els. Guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. History warns us with examples of what happens when influence is misused. Consider Jim Jones, the cult leader whose persuasive charisma drew hundreds into his orbit. Instead of using his influence to heal, he manipulated and controlled, leading to one of the most tragic mass deaths in history. His story stands as a stark reminder that charisma without integrity is a weapon capable of mass destruction. If the gift you carried had the power to change lives for good or for harm, how fiercely would you protect its purity? Those who carry this gift learn to balance service with self-care. They replenish their inner reserves through prayer, solitude, and healthy boundaries, so they can continue to pour out without running dry. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. Their light shines not because they never face darkness, but because they continually return to the source who rekindles it. If you are one of these, stand firm. Guard your heart. Anchor yourself in truth, and let your presence be the calm in every storm. Use your influence as a bridge, not a barricade, as a lamp, not a weapon. The world doesn't just need your gift, it needs you operating in it without compromise. They know that if they take on more than they can transmute, the gift begins to dull under the weight. And so they intentionally cultivate rhythms of grounding, cleansing, and renewal Much like a forest that sheds its leaves to make room for new growth, they recognize that their ability to be a clear channel for transformation depends entirely on maintaining inner balance and well-being. For as it is written, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. If the vessel carrying light is cracked, how long before the flame flickers out? Rest, to them, is not weakness, but sacred recalibration, like the hush before a storm clears the air. A pause in which heaven repairs what the world has worn down. Without such intentional renewal, the light-bearer risks carrying shadows they were never meant to hold. And so, as we continue our journey into the realm of the 1% spiritual gift, we enter the mysterious and often misunderstood world of dreams and visions. For those who possess this gift, the veil between the conscious and unconscious mind is as thin as the mist over a morning meadow, easy to see through if you are still enough. In this liminal space, the symbolic language of the soul speaks clearly. For God does speak now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. In a dream, in a vision of the night. Job 33:14-15. If heaven could send you a message tonight, would you remember it tomorrow? These dreams are not entertainment for the mind, they are confrontations for the heart, arriving as either comfort or challenge, demanding the dreamer to face truths they have avoided in daylight. This is why those with the gift treasure these moments as divine appointments, not fleeting illusions. To them, dreams are not random electrical pulses, nor meaningless fragments of imagination, but living conduits of insight, guidance, and revelation streams flowing from a higher source. Some carry blessings so gentle they feel like rainfall on parched ground, while others strike like lightning to warn of unseen danger. Each dream is intentional, sent with purpose, layered with meaning, and often as vivid as waking memories, lucid and interactive, like standing in a conversation with someone whose eyes pierce into eternity. In the last days, God says, "I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams." Acts 2:17. If the dream felt real enough to touch, could it also be real enough to obey? Within these visions, they may converse with guides, ancestors, or even higher aspects of themselves. The scenery shifts like the changing currents of a river, moving them from familiar shores into realms untouched by waking thought. Unraveling these messages requires a keen sense of intuition, much like reading the rings of an ancient tree to learn its history and the seasons it has survived. Even the great works of European art have hinted at this sacred dreamwork. Mozart's opera, The Magic Flute, for example, guides its characters through trials and symbolic visions before granting them the wisdom to move forward. This mirrors how the dream realm delivers its instructions, not in plain speech, but in a code meant for the seeker who dares to interpret it. As it is written, "Write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets, so that a herald may run with it." Habakkuk 2:2. If the code was meant only for you, would you have the courage to act on it? For the 1% who live with this gift, dreams are not escapes, but assignments, destiny triggers sent in the quiet of night. Just as certain seeds only germinate after fire, some callings awaken only after a vision is received and believed. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29:18. They guard this channel with reverence, knowing the messages they receive are not only for their own path, but for the lives intertwined with theirs. Each morning they rise with the awareness that the night may have altered the course of their journey. and they step forward, prepared to carry that revelation into action, because for them, the dream is never the end of the story. It is the spark that ignites it. Those with the rare 1% spiritual gift possess a depth of discernment that allows them to interpret dreams and visions with extraordinary clarity. These revelations may arrive as direct guidance, delivering precise instructions or solemn warnings about events yet to unfold. Almost like blueprints drawn by an unseen architect of destiny, at other times, they emerge in the form of symbolic stories or archetypal images, each one an intricate pattern woven into the tapestry of the soul's journey, urging the dreamer to uncover the hidden laws and rhythms guiding their life. For God does speak now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. Job 33:14. Such experiences are invitations to look beyond the surface and enter the structural foundations of heaven's architecture, where every detail has purpose. Every beam is aligned with eternity's design. But when those patterns appear in your life, will you recognize them, or will they pass you by unnoticed? Visions, in contrast, are waking experiences of profound revelation moments when the veil between the temporal and the eternal becomes paper-thin. They may arise during deep meditation, unbroken prayer, or spontaneous surges of awareness, revealing shimmering glimpses into the invisible dimensions of energy and consciousness. It's as if the mind becomes a cathedral's vaulted ceiling, capable of amplifying divine frequencies and resonating with the harmony of creation itself. In the last days, God says, "I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams." Acts 2:17. But if such a vision came to you, would you have the courage to act on it when no one else understands? These moments require a heightened level of attunement, much like a musician tuning their instrument to a precise pitch before a sacred performance. Without that tuning, the message can be lost amidst the noise. For those chosen to walk with this gift, dreams and visions are not passive experiences to be admired from afar. They are active instruments of transformation and growth. They are living compasses, capable of pointing true north, even when life's storms rage. By working with these revelations intentionally, such individuals access a reservoir of wisdom that is not drawn from human intellect alone, but from the eternal current of divine intelligence. "Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know." Jeremiah 33:3. Could it be that some of the answers you've been searching for have already been given to you, hidden inside the very dreams you've been ignoring? Their ability to translate these heavenly blueprints into earthly steps allows them to navigate challenges with grace and to seize opportunities with unshakable confidence. Modern leaders have testified to the quiet authority that comes from following such inner visions. Best-selling author and leadership coach Robin Sharma once said, "Everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in reality." For the 1% with this spiritual gift, that first creation often happens in the night watch of the soul, when the world sleeps and heaven speaks. But these blessings are not without their tests. The visions can be so piercing that they disrupt one's sense of normalcy, calling them to act against the conventional wisdom of the crowd. And yet, the Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. Isaiah 58:11. The connection between their dreams and visions is not coincidental. It is an unbroken golden thread linking their deepest unconscious language to the eternal voice of God. Each dream refines their hearing. Each vision sharpens their sight. The combination is like the stillness before a great battle, when the warrior measures the wind, tightens the grip on the sword, and listens for the commander's signal. And when that signal comes, there is no hesitation. Write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. Habakkuk 2:2. To those walking with this rare gift rise, do not hide what heaven has entrusted to you. The world may dismiss your dreams as fantasy, your visions as folly, but the architect of the universe built them into you for a purpose. This is your call to stand, to move, to build what has never been built before. The time to act is now. Like the other signs we have explored, it is through sensing the true essence of situations, tapping into profound inner wisdom, and transmuting negative energies that these chosen ones create the inner space and clarity required to receive divine messages. Dreams and visions become, in their hands, more than fleeting images. They are the language of the soul, a direct line of communication to the deepest strata of their being. They whisper that life is not merely a sequence of physical events in a material realm, but a spiritual pilgrimage toward awakening. The spiritual man makes judgments about all things, but he himself is not subject to any man's judgment. 1 Corinthians 2:15. Yet, in this sacred dialogue between heaven and earth, how many will have the courage to listen when the message demands a step into the unknown? Working with dreams and visions is rarely straightforward. It demands patience to wait for clarity, trust to move without seeing the full picture, and a willingness to embrace the unknown as an ally rather than an adversary. Not all dreams or visions are meant to be acted upon at once, and discernment is vital, knowing what to carry forward now and what to hold in stillness for a later season. Misinterpreting the timing of a vision can be as dangerous as ignoring it altogether. This is why the spiritually gifted learn to anchor their revelations in wisdom and apply them in practical, grounded ways. One modern example of this is former United Nations Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld, a man of deep spirituality and quiet conviction. Despite holding one of the most politically charged positions in the world, he often described his work as a calling, guided by moments of private reflection and spiritual insight. His legacy stands as proof that when divine guidance meets disciplined action, the world changes. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, there are cautionary tales like that of Bernard Madoff, the infamous financier whose unchecked greed and false promises collapsed into one of the largest frauds in history. His vision was built on deception, and the ruin it brought to countless lives remains a sobering reminder. Not every vision is divine, and not every leader is led by truth. As we draw closer to the final sign, another ability emerges among the 1%: profound empathy and compassion. This is not the surface-level kindness that seeks praise, but a deep-rooted ability to feel another's pain as if it were their own, to stand in another's storm without judgment. It is the same compassion that moved Christ to heal the sick and feed the hungry that caused him to weep at Lazarus's tomb. Rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn, Romans 12:15. But in a world quick to protect the self and avoid discomfort, who will stand in the gap for those whose cries are too faint for others to hear? To the chosen ones reading this, do not retreat into silence. Your ability to receive, to discern, and to act is a gift the world desperately needs. The hour has come to rise, to carry your visions with integrity, and to expose the counterfeit dreams that seek to deceive. What heaven has entrusted to you is not meant to be hidden under a basket. It is meant to light the path for many. This is your call to stand up and shine. As our journey through the signs of the 1% spiritual gift deepens, we arrive at perhaps the most foundational and transformative ability of all: profound empathy and compassion. This is not merely the capacity to understand someone else's feelings or to offer polite sympathy. It is a deep, visceral resonance that flows beyond the limits of the individual self. For the chosen ones, empathy is not learned, it is breathed. Like air, it is the invisible bridge between two souls, carrying unspoken words and unheard cries, creating a sacred meeting place where pain and hope coexist. It is carrying each other's burdens, Galatians 6:2, in the most literal sense. This level of empathy is akin to the way roots in a hidden forest network to communicate, where an ancient oak senses when a neighboring sapling is struggling and sends nutrients through unseen channels. The chosen ones move through life, much like those ancient trees, attuned to currents of joy, grief, and longing. Even in silence, they absorb the emotions and unspoken energy of those around them without effort, as if their spirit operates on a frequency tuned to human need. But how does one protect such a tender spirit without dimming its light? It is both a rare blessing and a weighty challenge, for such sensitivity can overwhelm the unguarded heart, like a river in flood season. Compassion can overflow, eroding the shoreline if not given proper boundaries. This gift is grounded in the unshakable knowing of our interconnectedness, a direct encounter with the truth that beneath the seeming diversity of faces and languages and cultures, there flows one eternal stream. It is seeing through the mirage of separation and recognizing that if one part suffers, every part suffers with it. 1 Corinthians 12:26. In nature, it is the way a flock of birds turns in perfect unison without a word, sensing and responding as if animated by one breath. Art has tried to capture this sacred truth. In Victor Hugo's Les Misérables, the character Bishop Myriel offers Jean Valjean silver candlesticks after he is caught stealing, an act of compassion that forever transforms a man the world had condemned. In that moment, the bishop did not see a thief, he saw a soul in chains and chose to unlock them. Such is the vision of those with the 1% gift. They see not what someone has done, but what they could become. Yet empathy at this level demands stewardship. Without wisdom, the same open heart that heals can also be pierced by every arrow of sorrow. This is why the chosen must learn to flow like the tide embracing the shore in its fullness, then retreating to the depths for renewal. They must remember that compassion, like sunlight, shines brightest when balanced with rest. For even the Son of Man withdrew to lonely places to pray, Luke 5:16. And so, the question lingers, how will you guard the light you carry, so that it never burns out, but only burns brighter? Those who carry the rare 1% spiritual gift live with the unshakable awareness that at the deepest level of existence, every human soul is an expression of the same divine essence. It is as if their inner vision has pierced through the veils of illusion, allowing them to perceive the underlying latticework of heaven's architecture, a sacred framework where each life is a beam, each act of love a keystone, and each reconciliation a perfectly measured arch supporting the grand cathedral of creation. From this elevated perspective, compassion is no longer an option or a moral choice. It becomes the very air they breathe. This is a love that extends to all beings, regardless of whether their actions are noble or harmful. A love that mirrors the call of Christ. In Matthew 5:44, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. They have the rare ability to see beneath the surface, discerning the pain and suffering hidden behind even the most destructive behaviors. What most would label as cruelty or malice, they perceive as fear unhealed, ignorance unbroken, or needs unmet since childhood. Their empathy operates almost like quantum resonance, able to attune to the subtlest emotional frequencies in another person, detecting the tremors of sorrow beneath the noise of anger. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to hear the silent cry inside someone's soul when their mouth speaks only blame? These individuals can, and in that moment, judgment melts away, replaced with the kind of understanding that can transform lives. In practical terms, this profound empathy empowers them to act as healers and catalysts for change in ways that ripple far beyond the moment. They can sit with another person's pain, no matter how raw, without flinching, without recoiling, and without needing to fix it prematurely. Their presence becomes like a still pool in the midst of a raging storm, reflecting back to the hurting person their own worth and dignity. It is reminiscent of Galatians 6:2. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Yet, as any architect knows, a structure cannot stand if its foundation is ignored. This gift demands intentional self-awareness and deliberate self-care for an overextended heart, no matter how pure, risks collapse under the weight of too many unprocessed emotions. A striking example of this kind of living empathy can be seen in the life of José Andrés, the renowned Spanish-American chef and humanitarian. When hurricanes, earthquakes, and wars ravage communities, André doesn't just send funds, he goes himself, serving meals in disaster zones, holding hands with strangers who have lost everything. His work through World Central Kitchen has fed millions, but the true impact lies in the invisible nourishment: dignity restored, hope rekindled. Is it possible that the simple act of standing beside someone in their darkest hour is the most Christ-like miracle of all? Yet this path is not without cost. Even those chosen for this work must guard their inner sanctuary with the same care. A maestro guards the tuning of a concert grand piano without rest, without moments of withdrawal. The channels of love and clarity can become clouded. Here, the discipline of spiritual maintenance becomes essential: fasting from negativity, immersing in prayer, and remembering the promise of Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, for in the end, the 1% are not merely sensitive people. They are living conduits between heaven and earth. They stand in the breach, carrying light into shadowed spaces until the walls of division collapse. This is your reminder. If God has entrusted you with such empathy, it is not by accident. Guard it, refine it, and use it as the weapon of light it was meant to be. The world is starving for the kind of love you carry. Rise now, step into your calling, and become the living answer to someone's desperate prayer. Those entrusted with the 1% spiritual gift must learn one of the most critical disciplines of their journey: distinguishing between their own emotions and those they absorb from others. Without this skill, they risk drowning in feelings that were never theirs to carry. Setting clear, sacred boundaries is not an act of selfishness, it is an act of stewardship. Proverbs 4:23 warns, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. This guarding involves more than mental willpower. It is a conscious choice to step back when necessary, to breathe, and to cleanse the spirit through prayer, worship, or solitude. Have you ever felt the heaviness lift the moment you stepped away from a draining environment? That is the power of spiritual boundaries in action. Alongside boundaries, These individuals must cultivate an unwavering connection to their inner guidance system. This is the compass God placed within them, a combination of intuition, discernment, and the quiet voice of the Holy Spirit. When life's emotional landscapes grow chaotic, this inner guidance is what helps them navigate without losing their way. Romans 8:14 affirme, "For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God." It is in this leading that the chosen gain clarity. Even in the middle of someone else's storm, the profound empathy and compassion of the 1%ers is not just one trait among many, it is the golden thread that ties together every other spiritual sign we've explored. It fuels their ability to perceive the true essence of a person, to draw from deep wells of inner wisdom, to transmute toxic energies into something redemptive, and to interpret the symbolic messages embedded in their dreams and visions. In essence, this level of empathy is the hallmark of a soul that has moved far beyond the grasp of ego, stepping into the radiant light of God's love as experienced directly, not merely believed. This kind of soul is rare but not without modern witnesses. Take the example of Dr. Denis Mukwege, a Congolese gynecologist who has risked his life to heal women brutalized by war. Despite multiple assassination attempts, he continues his work with a grace and courage that reflect Luke 6:36. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. His empathy did not diminish his strength. It became the very weapon that dismantled cycles of despair in thousands of lives. And yet, the opposite path has its champions too. Think of Lance Armstrong, once hailed as one of the greatest cyclists in history, whose career was built on remarkable victories until the truth emerged about his long-term use of performance-enhancing drugs. The revelation didn't just strip him of titles, it shattered public trust and tainted the very legacy he worked decades to build. His story is a sobering reminder that without integrity and compassion, even the highest achievements can crumble into dust. Which road would you walk if your influence could alter destinies? Would you choose the way of service or the path of self-glory? For the chosen, the ultimate purpose of all spiritual growth is not the accumulation of mystical knowledge, but the embodiment of love that heals, redeems, and restores. 1 Corinthians 13:2 declares, "If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, but do not have love, I am nothing." The message is clear. Empathy is not weakness, it is the crown jewel of divine strength. So rise, chosen ones. Step forward with your gift. Guard it fiercely and use it boldly. The world is aching for the love you carry. The true aim of these gifts is never personal power or applause. It is service to the greater good and the quiet advance of awakened consciousness. Those who carry the 1% spiritual gift walk a road bright with possibility, yet lined with trials. Their empathy, inner wisdom, capacity to transmute heaviness, and the dreams and visions that guide them all require careful tending, like a coastline shaped patiently by the tide until rough stone becomes a safe harbor. Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Matthew 20:26. When the crowd cheers or doubts, what compass keeps your heart aligned with the higher call? One of the most urgent challenges is guarding healthy boundaries. A river without banks does not water fields, it floods them. In the same way, a soul without boundaries spends itself until the light grows dim. So they practice grounding, daily renewal, and compassionate no's that protect the yes they were born to carry. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. If you feel everything around you, where do you lay your head so the inside can grow quiet again? There is also the ache of being different or misunderstood. Many will not recognize the language of your calling, yet the call remains. Here the ancient promise steadies the trembling. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1-5. Supportive communities, few but faithful, become like dune grass on a windy shore, holding the shifting sand so new life can take root. With ability comes responsibility. The power to influence atmospheres and redirect the currents of a room must be held with clean hands and a low heart. Freely you have received, freely give, Matthew 10-8. And again, use whatever gift you have received to serve others. As faithful stewards of God's grace, 1 Peter 4:10, the work is to confront one's own shadows, to keep motives clear, and to aim every outcome toward the good of others. What fruit would your gift bear if no one ever knew your name? Their path is not only born in private, it sings through culture as well. The French film of Gods and Men, 2010, portrays Trappist monks in Algeria who choose love and presence over flight, holding peace for a village at great cost. That quiet, luminous courage mirrors the 1% vocation to stand like a lighthouse through long nights, to labor like glacier-carved rivers that make valleys green in due season. And though the cathedrals they build in human hearts may never bear their signatures, the light inside speaks for them. In the end, this rare path is service and surrender, steady hands offering healing, patient hearts guiding change, willing spirits saying yes to a purpose larger than comfort. It asks for courage when the way narrows, faith when answers delay, and endurance when the burden presses. Yet the joy of living in true purpose outshines the cost. The invitation is not for a few only. It reaches everyone. Each life has a place in this symphony. Each voice, a note the world still waits to hear. Rise. Step out from hesitation. Carry your light without apology. And take your place in the work that remakes the world. The interconnectedness we've explored today is not just a concept, it is the lifeblood of the 1% spiritual gift. While this path carries its own weight of challenges and responsibilities, it ultimately calls us to live in deeper connection, in humble service, and in unwavering alignment with our highest purpose. Whether you recognize yourself in the signs of the 1% gift, or you're simply awakening to the whisper of your own calling, the invitation remains. Honor your unique gifts. Confront your shadows with courage. Trust your inner guidance with unshakable faith. And extend love and light to every soul you encounter. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. As we close, pause for a heartbeat and reflect on your own journey. What gift has been quietly waiting for you to embrace it? What part of your soul is ready to step out from the shadows? If this message stirred something within you, give it a spiritual high five by pressing the like button. If you feel led to walk further on this path of awakening, hit subscribe and join this growing community of seekers, visionaries, and warriors of light. And if you've walked through moments where your gift has spoken loudly or quietly, share your story in the comments, so together we can build a conversation that uplifts, encourages, and inspires. To those who have supported through super thanks. Your generosity keeps this mission alive and reaching more souls. And to those who simply show up, watch, and receive, your presence is a gift in itself. You are part of this journey, and your light matters more than you know. Remember, the greatest offering you can ever give the world is your own authentic presence. a life lived in alignment with God's purpose for you. May you walk forward with the courage of David, the wisdom of Solomon, and the compassion of Christ. May your hands be strong to serve, your heart be soft to love, and your spirit burn with the unquenchable fire of divine calling. Until we meet again, keep shining, keep standing, and keep walking as the chosen one you were created to be.